Welcome to Hilarity by Default's weekly Brisco County Jr. review, starring the youthful chin of Bruce Campbell. Episode 17, Fountain of Youth, has Brisco Bowler rushing to the rescue of the Orb Scholar at the behest of his mysterious daughter after he is threatened by a well-groomed gang of outlaws and John Bly himself. I've mentioned before on the show that I wasn't a big fan of the orb being from the future. Fountain of Youth is the sole reason why I hate this idea. A truly messy, badly written, and executed episode that highlights perhaps the worst aspects of the Orb plot and seems to try its best to ruin the provocative character of John Bly, for me at least. From its opening attack from a gang of Fabios to its rip-off Indiana Jones-esque ending, Fountain of Youth is a vague foray of dubious extravagance.
You know, when you say extravagance, Demos, the first thing that comes to my mind is all the crystal in Bowler's newly built house that Brisco County Jr. has helped brought into his life by way of successful mercenaryhood and loyal companionship, alleged, and whatnot. But I am forced to be extravagant in my own way and draw two quotes from Bowler. That's a stupid idea, not that orb thing again. See how I rolled them into one to make it work better? Are you telling me with this? Okay, first of all, you don't have to like it, but I'm going to say that I do. The Fabio gang was funny. I'm sorry. I couldn't get enough of this stuff. It's so funny. Listen, where are the Me Too people for this? This show was 20 years ahead of you in coming up with a chick leading a gang of Fabios against John Bly. Bruh, it don't get better than that for the Me Too movement. I'm just saying.
I do agree. As silly as that concept is, it also falls into the thing we've said on the show many times, something that shouldn't work that surprisingly works. And that's the element in this episode for me.
Yeah, no, the Fabio gang was great.
An entire episode should have focused on these guys, honestly.
They bring back the professor, so it's an Orb episode. I mean, you got to accept that as fact. Bly's involved. You get excited. Until... I talk about missed opportunity in general and how much it ticks me off. It's completely different when you do something good. So I've heard of this anomaly, right? Where people are in line to buy the next video game system, okay? And somebody purposely camps out and buys a spot on the line to buy the new video game system to just buy it and wreck that in front of the people who were there to buy one. So they can all watch the anguish as the people watch. And some son of a bitch did that with John Bly in this episode, and damn them to the bowels of the bloodiest creative hells, okay? No. Fireball! No.
But I think now you understand a little bit my criticism of where the Orb plot was going, and...
You would have said this, and I would have thought it was a joke, Demo.
He's from the year 2506?
Here's how I know they pulled that out of their ass. There is nothing futuristic about John Bly. The only part that's confusing to me that might make a little sense is that Elliot Ness killed him in a different century, okay? But that's a whole other conversation, which, by the way, The Untouchables is a great movie. And why the f*** haven't we done it yet on this channel? Next.
I think the answer to that one would be obvious, but it's on the list.
You sounded like Captain America right there. Okay, I'll put it on the list. I say all that to say, Demos, Bly has given us no reason to believe he's from anywhere else but the Old West. He's a sadistic freaking gang leader. And what? There is no hint of spaceman or anything from this guy. And yet I just naturally fit in this other century because.
Well, before we delve farther into the negative, let's look at the positive, because, you know, we are fans of the show. We love this show, which is why we're as passionate about...
Sons of bitches for doing this.
Which is why we're as passionate about some of the missteps. I like some of the returning characters. I like the return of the Orb Scholar from episode 2. Although I do think that they scramble his mysterious nature a little bit with a fairly bland family hostage story. Okay. I like the return of Lee Powell from the pilot, who, like the Orb Scholar, fantastic. And to be honest, the reveal of the nature of Brisco's gun, I think, is an interesting idea. Caveat: badly executed. Socrates' destiny, tying back to the pilot as well, provides a little bit of gravitas for his presence not only in this story but the whole series. I love that. Although I have to say that the glowing key seems a little bit more appropriate for a Western rave party than a supernatural mystery. It looks like a pathetic lightsaber in some scenes when they're in the cave and Brisco's holding it. I'm gonna have to add a lightsaber sound effect.
Well, I'll be.
What did you think of the reveal of the professor's daughter's true identity? Because I think it's a genuine surprise. Although it is true that from her very introduction, we are led to believe that there is a deception of sort at play, but they don't go for the obvious or overtly obvious solution of her being his wife or something to that effect. The biggest misstep I think with her is that she makes an immediate 180-degree turn at the end, which is aimed for drama, but fell flat to me because she's very underdeveloped. What did you think of her?
So I like the idea on the surface without it being developed out, but I think the way that it was portrayed for them to get the shock value was somewhat intellectually dishonest. I don't see a scenario, Demos, speaking as one who has a good relationship with his mother and his daughter. I don't see a situation where I address the two in a similar enough fashion that somebody can't tell which one I'm talking to. You kind of lied to get there, is what I'm getting at. I guess I'm nitpicking the execution. At one point, it even looks like they might even be his wife, which was already problematic in its own way. But I think the reason why that came off is the daughter thing, again, very intellectually dishonestly, set the table to where mother wasn't an option because the interaction wasn't right.
One of the scenes I did enjoy very much is mostly the scenes that involve Brisco and Bowler going up against the Fabios. Their interactions, I think, are the best parts of this episode.
Whoa. Wait a minute. Let's quickly figure this out. Interactions between Bruce Campbell and Julius Carey. Check. Something we've liked throughout the entire thing. We have both praised the Fabio gang. And that's the best part of the episode.
In a John Bly episode. I did like Brisco's steampunk escape. And yet another cliffhanger scene that, like the runaway carriage scene in AKA Kansas, is appropriate. I think it's a little lackluster. It feels like they jumped from Indiana Jones to Dick Tracy all of a sudden. But I enjoyed it. I think it was a very good scene for what it is.
Hey, listen, I think the Fabios should be a gang in a Dick Tracy comic. I'm just saying.
But let's just dive into, I think, the two biggest issues that we have with this, and that's Orb and Bly. Let's start with the Orb, because everything involving the Orb story, especially, the thing that really sets me off about this episode is the over-the-top, purely cringy lines, such as,
I can feel his power. It's magnificent! And with it I will return home and use its power to rule the world!
Even Bruce Campbell can barely deliver lines such as,
You mean I've had this thing with me all along? And I never knew it?
This episode is just, the dialogue is just badly written, man. If I get the sense that he's struggling to get a line out, that's a red flag.
If he's struggling to make it epic, you done screwed up. That's a point by you, Demosthenes.
But at the end of the day, this is the single most bland showdown between Brisco and Bly in the entire series thus far. He's from 2506. Yeah, this episode, more than any other episode, makes me wish that the Bly Orb storyline ended in Crystal Hawks on a high note. Bowler once again provides what I can only deduce as the writer's commentary in this episode when he states at the end,
Brisco, we just be cowboys from now on.
Wow. That's some depth you just threw in there right there, Chief.
Wow, what a bug!
I know we've alluded to, not that orb thing again being the right, but can we, I'm kind of embarrassed. I didn't think of that myself. Oh my God, that's awesome. Yeah, man. And I feel like honestly, even though it's an orb episode and all that, for the better or the worse of this concept of our analysis, I have developed a mental padding, a mental padding, handicap, whatever you want to call it, for orb episodes. So I'm gonna be like, okay, they're orb episodes. There's some silly stuff happening. Your orb and the silly is bad. Be prepared. Okay, that's where I'm at. Every time I watch an orb episode, okay, what I'm having trouble getting past is the John Bly character being cheapened to the extent that
defiled.
Okay, yeah, we'll go with that. I mean, listen, at the very end of the day, at least it was by some Fabio gangsters. No, man, I'm trying to joke about it to dodge it, and I just the disappointment that whole 612 years in the future thing. Listen, okay, I get it. Brisco met himself in another episode, and it was a moment. I got past it on the padding that was, hey, it's more than one Bruce Campbell in the same scene. Sign me the hell up. But you managed to, man, I could go very emotional and just blasted a one saying, how dare you sons of beep steal John Bly from me, but I can't do that. There are too many things that worked well enough for what this episode should have been. Who it could have been this episode, it could have been 4 or 5 comments. And then they started doing. I'm going to leave it at 2 comments.
It's an over-the-top, character-defining backfire that only merits 2 comments for me as well, because of some strong set pieces and decent ideas, even if they're butchered in their execution. The episode posits that there will be a follow-up to the Bly story. But to me, that appears to be more of a threat than a promise at this point.
Isn't that unfortunate, right?
But I want to end on a positive note, because once again, we love this series. I think that thankfully the series would adopt Bowler's "Let Us Be Cowboys" criticism and move on to greener, more mature pastures than this fountain could aspire to.
Hey, listen, at the end of the day, the one thing I will say that's positive for this episode, at least it didn't backfire so much that it became Steel Cowboys or
Steel Horses,
the motorcycle episode. At least it didn't backfire that much.
Weasels!
So join us every week as we cover all 27 episodes of The Adventures of Brisco County Jr. We invite you to watch along and let us know in the comments below what your thoughts are on each episode. And make sure to like and subscribe for more fun from Hilarity by Default.